We haven't done a nighttime drive in some time, so I thought I would take out this 1971 Marquis Brougham. I got it back out for the year here, and I just polished the paint with, I use Race Glaze polish. No, they are not a sponsor, but you can see how nice the reflection is. This is original paint. This car has not been repainted. All the body panels are original, and I love the 1971 has that full width wall-to-wall tail lamp treatment as well. But as we take a step back, take a look at the reflections, particularly in the deck lid, and the paint really looks great on this car. So does the interior, by the way. Still all original carpets and everything, and the inside just kicking down the fast idle. But the seats has the optional twin comfort lounge seats. The door panels are perfect. Everything works. Well, in any case, let's take it for a nighttime drive. And you can see the beautiful gauges and the lighting. Here we go.
Well, here we are. We haven't done a nighttime video in some time, but this is one great car to do it in. This is the 71 Marquis Brougham with the beautiful kind of green backlighting all throughout the instrument panel, the HVAC, the FoMoCo AM radio, one speaker AM radio. This car came from Saskatchewan back when it was actually still relatively cheap to import from Canada and ship around Canada. Well, it's always been cheap to import cars. It just got really expensive and hard to ship cars in Canada. But I had this one shipped all the way from the prairies in Saskatchewan to Toronto, and then I picked it up in Toronto and trailered it across the border. Probably 6 years ago now. And I think when I got it, it had 16 or 17,000 miles. I keep driving it. It's got 19,000 miles. It's hard not to drive it. It just drives so well. I love this car. And I haven't found another 71 for sale. It's dark green, which may be a little tough to tell with the lack of lighting in here at the moment. There's the turn signal, by the way. If you have the bright lights, there's a bright light indicator. This is the 429 2 Venturi, or 2-barrel carburetor in here. And it's pretty peppy. I find that 2-barrel carburetors often feel more peppy than 4 barrels just driving around town. But it's just so silent and quiet. Although I do have to admit, the 73 and 74 Mercuries, I think they made them even quieter. This is good, but they did tout that they improved the ride for 73. I think they made further ride enhancements for 74, particularly given the cars were engineered for radial tires, and they got even better. But I have to say the looks of this one and just the fit and finish and the materials, and you can see the green in here. There's no overhead dome light, interestingly, in the Brougham. There's those two lights back there, and then lights in the doors, lights in the kickwell, etc. But one of my favorite cars. People never really collected Mercurys. They collected Cadillacs, Chevrolets, Lincolns, some Ford models, and maybe a few Mopars, and that was about it. Mercury was kind of a lost brand. Pontiac also had good collectability, but Olds and Buick, select models, and Mercury, of course, the Cougar, but the full-size Mercurys were really just unloved. And it's a shame because they are absolutely fantastic. You got the standard big block engine, the C6 transmission a lot of the times, and a lot of sound deadening, a lot of quality. Remember, this was the Lincoln Mercury division, and they advertised it as being engineered in the Continental tradition, and that's what that big prow is on the hood there. It's kind of to emulate what you would see on a Continental, that a similar prow on the hood. In fact, a lot of the styling kind of emulates Lincoln and the Continental that came out in 1961. This more emulates the 1970 Continental, the full size. And then the front end of this 71 mimics a little bit the front end that was originally designed for the Lincoln Mark III when it was called the Lancelot. And before, Lee Iacocca said that he wanted the designers to put a Rolls-Royce grill on the Thunderbird. So this theme kind of spilled from Lincoln, and how appropriate. But everything in this car, I would say, I've driven 71 Oldsmobiles at the time. I would have picked the Mercury anytime. The Olds, I would say, had maybe a little bit peppier engine, a little bit smoother transmission, maybe marginally quieter. It's kind of a toss-up, but I do think the 71 GM vehicles were quiet, if nothing else, on the inside. And this one's got a little wind noise at speed, really because of the drip rails. But aside from that, it's really hard to criticize. This car feels so much better built than the 71 to 76 GM cars. This car would be a product of Ford Motor Company, and the full-size platform that would come out was introduced for the 1969 model year. And that was the inaugural model year for the Marquis, being the top-of-the-line car in both 2- and 4-door formats. In 1967 and 68, the Marquis was the top-of-the-line car. It came out in 1967, and it was only a 2-door car, believe it or not. This was not the Grand Marquis. That would be a trim that was offered in 1974 for the first time, over top of the Marquis Brougham, an even more expensive trim. That's how the Grand Marquis started to come about, especially when Ford deviated and had a Panther platform Marquis. That became the Grand Marquis, and the Fox body platform car became the Marquis, just a regular Marquis. So here you have it. Just a wonderful driving car. Let's see the one-speaker AM radio.
Right now it's 4 to 2. We'll check your money in 1 minute.
Oh yeah, check my money in 1 minute.
That's the average amount.
Well, the one thing about the 71 too, I will say, is it's got this humorously small rear view mirror on the inside. It would become larger in 1972 and 73. The gear shift is also a little bit stubbier, and it would get longer in 72. The wheel diameter seems smaller too for 71. This is the 3-spoke rim blow wheel in here. Works well. Kind of whip the car around pretty fast. But in any case, I thought that you would enjoy this. And of course, where am I heading? The gas station. Although this car really doesn't need gas. We're out this way anyway. Get a couple extra gallons, because Costco is here. So people wonder what kind of gas I run. I run Costco Premium, and these high compression cars, plus lead additive, usually plus a can of the racing gas, VP racing gas. And that prevents all the spark knocking, and I can run the timing at its stock setting. Otherwise, you get a little bit of spark knock sometimes in these cars. And I don't really drive them that many miles, so I'll give them the right fuel that they so desire. But thanks again for taking a little ride along with me in my 71 Marquis Brougham. And I thought you would enjoy. I will turn the headlamp switch off. You can hear the vacuum for the headlight doors. There they are. They're closed. You just pull this out. You can hear the vacuum again. So, kind of a cool setup. One actuator on these is what does both headlamp doors. Later model years, for whatever reason, they went to 2 actuators, and those are more failure prone. But that's it. Clock even still kind of works in this car. It gets hung up every once in a while. It still ticks away to some degree. People ask, why don't I fix the clocks in these cars? Well, let's just say that a lot of these dashes aren't made to be readily serviced, and it's kind of hard to get them apart. And I just don't want to risk it at this point. Yes, I could take it apart, but they're pretty tricky in some cases. The next generation, the 73s, were designed for serviceability, but this dash wasn't designed for serviceability nearly as much. And you just risk damaging a component, then when are you going to find one? Everything on this is mint condition. I got to watch anyway, so why take it apart for the clock and to rebuild the clock? Doesn't have to be working in this car. Thanks again for coming along.